This is Speaking of Speaking, quick tips and tools to take you from stage fright to spotlight. This podcast gives you an inside look from the world of public speaking and the speaking secrets you need to be bold from the stage, no matter what business you're in. The host of Speaking, Carl Richards.
Thank you, Matt. Yes, it's another edition of the Speaking of Speaking podcast, and we have a very special guest today who's talking about the consciousness in speaking. Very fascinated by this topic, and that special guest we have, by the way, is Chipochemeso Shambare. She is a personal and spiritual development coach and mentor, former nurse and midwife who made the transition to becoming a personal and spiritual development coach in the mid-'80s and hasn't looked back. We're so blessed to have her on the podcast today. Chipo, welcome.
Thank you. I'm so glad, Carl, you got the time for us to have a chat.
Well, it's an honor to have you here. I'm excited to get into this discussion, the consciousness in speaking. So tell me, just talking about getting in tune with your conscious self, what led you to do this kind of work?
Trying to get myself conscious because I felt, yes, honestly, it was like trying to work myself up. I felt there was something more than what I was into. And then I thought, well, there must be something. And I spent about 10 years studying with one of my great mentors, Carolyn Mays, and she really helped me to see that there was something else more than what I was showing. It's like that iceberg thing, there's a little iceberg above the water, but underneath there's more. So that's what I started to study, to find myself.
So it started out as a self-discovery into your own consciousness, which led you to do this kind of work then.
That's correct. Yeah. And then, I was working with people when I left nursing, going into natural therapies, I realized that not everybody knows who they really are. I need to help them find themselves. So I thought, well, I am finding myself. Why don't I do it together with everybody else that I come across?
How was the transition? Did you find it a challenge to go from being, very much in the medical world to focusing on something completely different? Was it a challenge for you at the time?
Oh, yes, it was. For the pay was different because I got paid every 2 weeks as a nurse. So I was set there. Then going into this other world, the pay wasn't coming in as it used to be as a nurse. And those days, this will outdate me, people were not so much into the consciousness. People were much into beauty. I started off as a makeup artist. And from my finding my consciousness was like, okay, you need to meet people where they're at. Don't try to bring them somewhere where they don't know, where they are not clear what it is. So start where they're at. So I started off as a makeup artist.
Do you find it's easier today because there is so much self-discovery, and a lot of people, especially people listening to this podcast, have either read The Secret or know about the law of attraction and know about doing a deeper dive, those kind of things. So do you find it's easier today than it was starting out?
Oh, yes, it is much easier. At the same time, it's not, because people think because they've got so much information in their heads, they think they know it all.
Right.
But have they really did that deep dive to know what's going on inside themselves?
And that's the magic of working with you. You help people do that.
That's right. Yeah, because most of us, honestly, even including myself, my head is in charge. We've been taught, we've been educated to think. Right. I remember my teachers as a kid. I used to memorize by heart. And it was like, no, you don't. You memorize, use your brain, use your mind, think. And now I'm saying, don't think, feel.
That is so true. We have been educated in the think system, I guess, is a way to describe it, and less educated in the heart system. If anything, especially as a male, we were, it's going back a couple of years as well, but almost like if you fell and scraped your knee, it was like, okay, just get up and shake it off and keep going. So there was no feeling exploration even from a young age. So exactly. I want to bring this and talk about the conscious self and how it relates to speaking, because I know that there's something there, and I know you're going to share it with us. So how does it relate to speaking?
Well, it does relate. I mean, we are communicating all the time with each other, not just being in front of a group of people, but we are communicating with our family, with our friends at work. But most of the time, we are not really communicating with ourselves, because, communication, the way conscious communication, the way I see it, is a way of talking and listening, and you're focused in somewhere inside as well. How am I feeling as am I speaking to you? Sometimes I might be saying other things that I'm not saying. Sometimes, I'm listening, but I'm not really listening because I'm having my own conversation. So as we really become conscious and listen to the words I'm saying, what does it feel like? What does the tone of voice sound like? What's my body language? So because I'm also talking to myself, I'm not just speaking to you. So the more I can really bring the whole of me into this conversation with you, we are going to connect a lot. And if you do the same thing, we are going to have that deep connection. We are not just the words, but we are also connecting energetically.
So for people who speak, then, whether it be, I mean, a lot of speakers now are doing it in the virtual world. They're doing it through Facebook Lives or through Zoom conversations and virtual summits and stuff like that. Is there a way for them to get into that awareness before they hit the platform and start speaking? Is there some preparatory work they should be doing?
Oh, yeah. What I do is before we go together, I sat and did my meditation or focus myself or make a relaxation, do some relaxation so that I connect to me. I connect to my heart. I connect to my feeling. What am I feeling about this? Play some good music so that I really get in touch with that part of me that's full of that love that I want to share with people.
So for somebody who's made this their work, over 20 years now, can you notice when you see and hear a speaker if they are connected with themselves in that spiritual sense? Can you tell the difference?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. I can feel it. I can feel that. I was talking to somebody not very long ago, and we were on Zoom, but I didn't have the video on. I had everything turned off. I just wanted to hear them and feel them. And I could tell they weren't with me. I could tell they weren't with themselves. So I decided to turn the Zoom camera on and see everything. And sure enough, they were busy reading something else as they were talking to me. But I had felt it that we are not connected. So what we need to do is, if I'm with you, I need to be with you. I need to be with my audience I'm speaking to. And just bring, it's like, imagine you have this beam of light coming out of your chest and you're sending it to the audience. And they are going to feel it and they are going to do the same.
I like that. That's a great analogy, because one of the things that I've shared with speakers numerous times is you have to connect with the audience. And I think that sometimes speakers think, oh, it's just about eye contact and it's just about, a gesture or some type of body language. But there's that spiritual connection that you need to almost envision and be in that place of, yes, you're putting forth that energy to the audience as well.
Yeah. And you can actually feel it. I mean, I can actually feel it. When I'm connected. When I'm not, I have to turn back and say, oops, what happened to my beam of light? Because it's not, I don't feel it myself. That means they are not feeling it.
What can you share with people then who are listening, who recognize that they need to get in better tune with their self-consciousness? What are a couple things they can do?
That can do. Meditation has been, it's, to me, it's overused. What if we just sit and just relax before they go to bed, or in the morning when they get up, before they get on stage? Sit for a few minutes, 5 minutes, and just breathe. Just connect with your breath and just allow your mind. We want our mind to settle. We want our mind to be quiet. The breath will bring that connection with our mind. The mind will quieten down. It will take a while because our mind has been in charge for as long as we've been here. So it takes time, but it's being patient and just do the breathing. Do relaxation, whatever makes you feel relaxed, do that. But breath for me is the easiest thing. Just breathe. You're going to go away. The mind is going to pull you somewhere, just like you're walking your little dog outside. The dog wants to go where you're not going. So pull it back. Just breathe, pull it back. Just keep breathing, and you'll find that it will settle down eventually. Like I say, it will take time. You have to be patient. Just breathe.
I like how you said the mind has been in charge for so long that you need to give the mind a chance to not be in charge. You have to
That's
say,
right.
mind, you're not in charge anymore. But I liked how you said that in talking about meditation, that there's been so much emphasis on it. And I think that meditation, it means so many different things to different people. We also don't know, a lot of us don't know how to do it, but just sitting there and being aware and just allowing things to happen. That sounds like a much better approach than trying to, quote, meditate.
Right. Yeah, and trying to force the mind, even the mind, like just befriend with it. Don't try to kill it. Don't try to get rid of it. Just say, hey, let's try something new. Let's play. Let's just breathe. Even sitting, or we all go to the bathroom once in a while. We are there. People say, I have no time. I said, well, do you go to the bathroom? And they'll say, yeah, of course. I said, well, just breathe while you're there. Just, instead of you can read, but if you're breathing, you focus on the breath and just do it when you're driving. Just pay attention, pay attention of the traffic, but the breath, instead of getting upset because somebody cut you off, what about if you took a deep breath and let that go? That's my mantra. If they can use breathe as a mantra all the time, just try and chill.
I like that. Just chill. Just allow yourself to breathe. I think that's a good message, because I think we get so caught up in our lives and the activities that we're working on that we don't take those moments to just sit and reflect and eat. Well, actually, probably not even reflect, because that's the mind.
No, that's right. Yeah. No, just breathing. Even I worked with somebody who taught actors. And I was working as a massage therapist with her, and I always told her to breathe. And she says, how come you never told me to relax? I said, do you know how to relax? She goes, not really. If I did, I wouldn't be here. I said, exactly. I said, I'm teaching you how to breathe, because that will make your body relax. The more you give it oxygen and get rid of that carbon dioxide, your body is going to relax. If I say to you, relax, you don't know what this is, you'll tense up. And she started taking breathing to her classes. And she says, my actors did much better than when I told them to relax. I said, yes, because they don't know how to.
It's one of those things I would share with speakers all the time. I would say, just relax. But when you're nervous, the mind's racing, the heart's palpitating. Like you can't relax. But if you breathe. And if you just allow yourself to be in that moment, in that place, then that makes such a huge difference.
Yeah. Make breath your friend. Make the mind your friend. Mind is it's a good thing to have, but become friends with it. That's a whole talk another time. But the breath, for me, the breath will be the key. Start just the breathing. Be aware of your breath. Be aware of what part of my lung is filling up, what part is not. Do I hold my breath? Do I hold when I breathe in? Do I breathe out? Some people will breathe in and don't breathe out. They just hold on to the breath, let it go. Take another one.
My guest is Chipochemeso Shambare, a personal and spiritual development coach and mentor. Been working with a number of people for over 20 years, and you have a chance to actually get in touch with her if you have, if you want to discover this yourself in a little bit more detail. She's setting some time aside for you. Chipo, how can people get a hold of you? What do you have for people who want to explore a little bit more with you?
Well, I have 30 minutes. They can send an email. An email is better at coachchipo, CHIPO, my name, at gmail.com.
Chipochembare.com is her website. I'm going to post these links, by the way, in the show notes after we're done here today for that self-discovery session. Chipo's setting aside 30 minutes for you to ask her some questions, to figure out whether or not, how can you get started in some of this self-discovery and this being in this state of consciousness that we've talked about today. Chipo, before I let you go, I'm just going to let you have one final thought, one set of final words. What would they be today?
Well, my final words will be breathe. Let's take a nice deep breath together and let it out. And another one, and let it go. This is what I do when I speak. I ask people to breathe with me, help me relax. And they all breathe, and the whole room is nicely together. So just breathe. That's my last few words. Breathe.
Chipochemeso Shambare, just breathe. Thank you for being our guest today. So much insight. Really appreciate you sharing with us today. And again, don't hesitate to reach out to Chipo. I'll post all her information in the show notes. Chipo, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Carl. I'm so blessed that I had a chance to spend time with you and your audience.
It's been fun, and thank you. Until next time, get out there and own the platform.
Thanks for listening to the Speaking of Speaking podcast. Fired up about something you heard today? Want to learn more? Be sure to visit carlspeaks.ca. And don't forget to follow Carl on Twitter @CarlRichard72 or join the Facebook group Speaking of Speaking.